Well, hello there. My name is Dave Bila. I want to welcome you to this new edition of News and Views, broadcast by Access LaPorte County on Public Access TV Channel 99. We are a weekly public opinion program addressing local, state, and national topics and issues of interest to the Michigan City and surrounding areas. Opinions are the views and responsibilities of those making the comments and do not necessarily reflect or represent the views of this program or its co-producers. We will adhere to broadcast rules, but absolutely no one's First Amendment right to freedom of speech or freedom of the press will be either muzzled nor denied. Any unauthorized use of the accounts, descriptions, and events of this program without the express written consent of Larry Curlier Schmo is strictly prohibited. We hope you enjoy the program, the discussion, and the participants. Ladies and gentlemen, I was a busy little beaver. Starting with Monday, just seeking additional information from Indiana Code Title 36, Local Government Article 7, and so on, establishing the Redevelopment Commission. We'll talk about that shortly. Coming up on the 4th, today is the 3rd, but coming up on the 4th, those of you who are interested in music, Jeff Dobler at the Chapel of the Resurrection is having a concert. A dual concert. One starts at 4:30. The theme of the concert, and it's the Valparaiso Chamber Commerce Band. The Chamber Concert Band will be present at the program for a fall tour, Indiana and Ohio. Then a combined Valparaiso University band. That's every Tom, Dick, and Harry who has any rhythmic prowess can join this band and participate. Again, if you enjoy music, Valparaiso University is the place to go. Be there by 4 o'clock Saturday afternoon and enjoy an afternoon and evening of
Is that at the Chapel of the Chimes?
Yeah, that's at Chapel of the Chimes. Ladies and gentlemen, a little research on the Redevelopment Commission and just to give you an idea of what the Redevelopment Commissions consist of. It consists of 5 members appointed to 1-year terms. 3 members are appointed by the mayor and 2 are appointed by the city council.
Now this is, just make sure everybody understands this. This is the Michigan City Redevelopment.
Michigan City Redevelopment Commission.
Okay.
Okay. Yeah. 3 members are paid. 3 members are appointed by the mayor and 2 are appointed by the city council. Salaries paid to the appointees are not paid by the city funds. The meeting is at 5 p.m. on the second Monday of each month at council chambers at City Hall. Duties and responsibilities. The Redevelopment Commission oversees the City of Michigan City Department of Redevelopment. Established, you gotta understand, it is established under state law. Okay, it's just not a flim-flam idea.
Not a local.
Not a local. It applies to the entire state. And again, I have here Title 36 to back up that information. It is empowered to clean, plan, redevelop blighted areas and to undertake economic development in previously undeveloped or in developed areas within the city limits. The Redevelopment Commission. The Redevelopment Commission mission is to address conditions associated with blight. You know, blight, there's a lot of blight in this community, in formally designated redevelopment areas. I would assume those are the areas the buildings that were tore down, that the lights, that the area has been set vacant for 20 or 30 years and geese are grazing. I would expect that's the redevelopment area that could be considered. Underutilized land or barriers to develop in formally designated economic development area. The Commission's $90,000 annual budget comes from earnings from investments, including investments derived from tax income, real financing, TIF revenues. This budget covers the cost of city staff, legal and accounting services, and the modest operation expenses. Redevelopment projects are paid for by TIF revenues. Okay. I would clarify that by saying projects are paid for by new construction of TIF revenues. I would amend that, but I'm reading what was put out by whoever put this thing out. Redevelopment Commission to put out. Michigan City put it out. Michigan City. Government? I don't know.
Yeah, looks like it came from Michigan City's website.
Oh, well, maybe it ought to be amended to include, but again, who am I to critique their organization with what they have developed? Well, anyway, a situation that I've been on for quite a while pertaining to Michigan City area schools and metal detectors. At the time, Michigan City area schools were entitled to 15% of the revenue derived from TIF district revenue derived from new construction. But since Title I has been established, Title I basically, House Bill 1 in Indiana assigned into law April 25th has several provisions that will impact both existing and future tax increment financing districts within the state. One of those areas, TIF districts established, will require transfer of at least 5% of property tax revenue to the increment assessed value. In other words, the city has an opportunity, the city of Michigan City has an opportunity to go after some of this TIF revenue. So the Redevelopment Commission is putting on hold the Michigan City area schools' request for their funds for metal detectors. And that's happening at the local level. But my understanding is there's something also happening at the state level pertaining to redevelopment commissions.
The Indiana.
Well, first of all, let's get this thing straight about the metal detectors, because the metal detectors are just one part of the money, of the funds that they're asking.
I agree. I agree.
My point would be, even if they cannot fund what the school city is asking for at this point, and that's up for discussion, at least they ought to be able to fund the metal detectors, because I think that's the single thing on there that is the most important. Now, the next situation that comes up, and this would probably need to be checked, is do they currently have metal detectors? And if they do, is it just that they are out of date from a technology standpoint? Because we have to keep up to date technology-wise with what's going on outside and the types of weapons that somebody may be carrying in order to get into that school system. So if it's to either install metal detectors that are not there, or if it's to update metal detectors with later technology, I think this ought to be funded. And maybe even not as part of the funds that they're giving to the school district, but as a separate funding process through their other funds. I would take it either way.
Well, in McGuire's request to Redevelopment Commission, in addition to educational advancements, the meeting addressed pressing concerns regarding physical and cybersecurity. McGuire outlined plans to enhance safety protocols, including the installation of metal detectors and improved video surveillance system in the school.
Yeah.
So
they have video surveillance, but they don't have metal.
that's my understanding. But again, I might be wrong because I've got a limited formal education.
And the school board has some responsibility also. They've got to stay after this. They can't just sit back and say, oh, they're taking care of it over there. No, it's their responsibility also to be involved with it and to make sure that they get those funds.
I have been on the, I have not been on the side of Redevelopment Commission since 2018 when I read state law. And Tony has just recently miraculously found something relating to the state of Indiana and their Economic Development Corporation?
Indiana Economic Development Corporation, the Governor Braun asked for a forensic review.
Yes.
That's an in-depth, detailed review of the Indiana
One step
Development
below a
Corporation.
forensic audit, but go ahead.
Okay, one step below a forensic audit, a review, forensic review. This is the report. October 2nd, yesterday, came out, and there was an article in Northwest Indiana Times. We talk about Northwest Indiana Times. Again, folks, you can go to their website. It's a really good site. If you ask them for the deal, I think it's $26 a year. You can read all the articles you want. Pretty awesome.
Does the local redevelopment commission have any input in that audit?
No. So the governor asked for this because the governor is I believe, the head of the Indiana Development Corporation, or he appoints the members.
Yes, he appoints the
So
member.
he had new members and he did a forensic review, not a forensic audit, a forensic review. And
What did
in-
he find out?
And in
Well,
the review,
Generally, when something like this happens, the governors have inside information from a number of different sources.
somebody told him something.
So somebody said something, so go ahead.
So I gave Bob the article, but in essence, they found out that some of the biggest donors to the Indiana Development Corporation were also getting money from the Indiana Development Corporation. They need to clean up their accounting. They didn't go any further than that. But Indiana Economic Development Corporation has about $1.226 billion in receipts of funds. And some of those high donors are the LEAP project, the READY program, which are funded through the state in some way or another. And NIPSCO's on there for $21 million. And there are some names on there. So some of these people, the report found out that some of these donors are also recipients of grants and other programs, and they're saying that should never be. Some of these people, or at a minimum, they should disclose. So then they look at some of the donors that were, we talked about these people on this show a lot. Some of the donors that they listed out are NIPSCO, Duke Energy, CenterPoint Energy, AES in Indiana, Indiana Michigan Power. The 1, 2, 3, 4, top 5 are power companies.
Now, this does not come as a shock to me because I kind of thought that this probably would be the situation. What you have to remember is these power companies are after the state to bring in corporations, corporations that are going to use the power that they generate. And for years, Indiana has lost population. It's lost, it's lost a lot of manufacturing. So all of a sudden we've started to come back, and that happened about 10 years ago. I wouldn't say all of a sudden, but 10 years ago, that started to turn around. And I'm sure these power companies want to keep that going. So they are contributing to the Economic Development Commission in order to have the funds to go out and talk
They
to
want
various
customers.
corporations.
They want customers.
Yeah, that was very
That's
well
understand.
said. Yeah, I was going to really go through it, but
They want customers.
they want customers. Got it.
So I was looking at the summary of IEDC outflows by vendor, and they rank it by the amount of money. This is 24 pages. And we're going to go back to the Michigan City Redevelopment Commission here. So there's 24 pages of vendors, people they paid money to. And I was going through here and seeing how many of these vendors, because this is economic development, I personally think the best way you spend economic development money, the first and foremost way, is education. There's no better return on economic development than education. So I'm going through here and I see Purdue Northwest got $7.3 million over 3 years, Ivy Tech. There were a few schools in here out of these 24 pages. Purdue University got some money. So they did give some money to higher education. I did not see anything other than college level into here. Indiana University got some money. But there's 24 pages of vendors in this that Indiana Economic Development Corporation gave money to for one thing or another. It's probably all on the up and up. Ivy Tech was in here, and there's some schools, a few schools. I'd say maybe 10 schools, and they were all higher education. And that's where they choose to spend. That's where the Indiana Economic Development Corporation thinks where they would spend their money in terms of return on investment and where they gauge that money to be in education. That's why they keep hitting on Michigan City is allowed up to 15%. And we found out that they have tabled the motion, or they haven't brought it back up. You haven't seen any new moves, right? But they do have lots of other projects, just like IEDC. They have a vast majority of projects, and it seems like their concern is not really education funding.
Yeah, a precedent has been set.
Here. Where I would have expected to see much more money is in places like Ivy Tech, because that's where you're going to generate the ability.
The people to work at these places.
Yeah, the people that work at these places. That's how they're going to get trained. If you give it to Purdue, you're looking at long-range activities, which are going to be great for the state, but it's 5, 6, maybe 10 years before you get anything out of it. Indiana University is kind of the same way. These are long-term projects. Ivy Tech and other schools like Ivy Tech are going to generate education for people who are ready to then be ready to be employed.
Quick return.
Quick return.
Purdue Northwest, which would be a school we think would
Yes.
help too, is 7.3 million over 3 years. Ivy Tech is 3.5 million. So they gave, it sounds like a lot of money, so we're talking like $11 million out of the 1.255 billion. I don't know what the percent is, 7 million or $11 million. So it's what, 1%? 1.255 billion, and they gave them 11 million?
Well,
0.1%?
yeah, well, let's see, they gave them 11 billion, you said?
11 million. 11 million.
And
And they have 1.25 billion, so
okay, yeah, it's about 1%.
1%. They
Yeah.
1%. They went to education.
You got my hearing's going bad recently.
So I guess that's just an indicator that people in economic development are not too concerned with the ability to have people to work at these places. I think we
That's
should be
gotta
very
change.
concerned.
That's got to change.
Because we could give all the money that we want to these people to come in Indiana, but if they can't work, I think Gary just had a big announcement about a center, and they're looking for thousands of workers. Now, we know that Economic Development Corporation in Indiana has 1.255 billion, and they need, and just Gary alone, they're looking for 1,000 plus workers. Again, I don't think you can spend enough money on education getting these people ready to work at the companies that are willing to come here.
The other place you want to consider giving money to is back when schools like Purdue Northwest, at that point we had Purdue at Westville and Purdue Calumet and Hammond, they had remedial programs. Those remedial programs were done away with about 15 years ago. Now, they were transferred to Ivy Tech. Ivy Tech has now become basically a 2-year college. They did away with the remedial programs. The other places where we need this money to go is into remedial programs in the high schools, like Michigan City. We have got to start to get these kids the ability to do math and the ability to read at an 11th and 12th grade level when they graduate, and not at a 7th and 8th grade level. Because the technology that they have to deal with is such, unless they're sweeping floors, that they're going to need this kind of ability. And maybe the Indiana Economic Development Commission ought to start looking at that and looking at the programs like the one we have at the A.K. Smith Center.
Yep.
Those are the areas where you could do this kind of remedial help and get these students up to date. Okay, go ahead.
Here it says recipient of funds, LEAP project, 34%, IREAD program, 20%, Indiana Finance Authority.
That's that IREAD that's ready. Trying to get,
Oh,
we're supposed to spend money trying to get people ready, or places ready.
Oh, I thought it was the reading program.
No, ready, it's for site selection and shovel ready.
Well, Battery Information Center, Indiana Innovation Challenge Center, City of Lebanon, Media Adventure LLC, Indiana 21st Century Fund, NIPSCO, a recipient of $21 million.
So what we're going back to is, if you're on a board or commission, and it's very hard, and I thank people for being on these boards. If you were on the redevelopment commission, I would advise you, if Kevin McGuire came in front of you and asked for 15%, and he had a list. Now, we agree that at a minimum, we should have got the metal detectors. But if you had a list, and you're on the redevelopment, you should say, thank you, we want to support the education as much as we can. I would make a motion to approve Kevin McGuire's request, pending the availability of the funds. And then it would have been done.
I would throw one other pedestal out there.
Or a review of something.
Yes, they definitely should be reviewing how this money is used. And it should be used for upgrading students through reading classes and math classes. This does not need to go to supervisory salaries and this kind of thing. No, I think they've got an obligation to see how that money is spent.
And you could have made that motion instead of tabling it, which I understand some people, most people, I would say on boards and commissions, are concerned about doing the right thing, and they have people there that seem to guide them in ways to hold off or table it till you get more information. You can say yes, and you can qualify the yes. Yes, I make the motion to approve the 15% or whatever money McGuire was asking for to the Michigan City School, pending his review of his items and pending the ability of the redevelopment to pay it. So you don't have to come back to the board if Kevin McGuire goes to the redevelopment and staff and they say, yeah, it looks like he's spending these things on things we support by law and things we support would be good use of our money, they can release the funds. They don't have to wait to another meeting to come back so he can start getting prices for metal detectors. That's not easy. That takes months. And now he's waiting. He cannot go to a vendor and say, hey, I'd like to, or go to the school board and say, I'd like to get prices for metal detectors. I'm sure they need different vendors. It's going to be expensive. Without having the redevelopment saying we're willing to give you the funds. So he's stuck in this quasi weird world that he's waiting for them to take it off the table and give him approval to then ask the board to ask for quotes and proposals to then see how we can set that. So he's now probably another year, maybe more out. He might not get set up for next school year as they wait to grant him some funds.
Well, the first determination they're going to have to do is what schools will these metal detectors go to? And that's going to be a big determination.
Well, I think he's going to have to wait before he knows what schools. He's going to have to know what they cost.
Right.
And then he can start choosing where they need to go as they go.
Yeah, I agree with that. But
But now he's waiting. He's stuck because they tabled it and he can't.
Right.
Why would he spend any time on it?
That's why it can't just be Kevin that follows up on it. It's got to be the school.
Well, I would think the whole school board would en masse walk into the redevelopment commission and stand there behind Kevin McGuire and say, we're asking for money to protect the kids.
Yeah.
And I hope the redevelopment board members would say, thank you, we support you 100%. I make the motion to approve this pending review of the expenses and pending the ability for us to fund it.
Well, I see this, I see it a little deeper than just providing Kevin money for metal detectors.
Oh, I would grant the whole thing.
I would too, but you got to go back to how these people, the mayor's appointment and the city council appointment, how these people were actually appointed, and was their background scrutinized to say that they're capable of making a determination on this legislative financial matter. When you look, again, I remember Denzel Wilson was a former Michigan City Councilman, and I believe it's his daughter is on the City Council. Tracy Tillman is a member of the City Council. Sheila is a former mayor, and Phil Latchford, I don't know how.
He's definitely qualified.
Tracy might not be a member. She might be the liaison.
No, she's the president.
She is a member?
She's the president.
Okay, she's not the liaison to the city
So
council.
basically, these guys, these four individuals are a rubber stamp to current members Gertner, Waltz, and Latchford. I'm just saying, they're just nodding heads. They approve.
I think they don't know how much money is the redevelopment commission is tapped for right now, between all the bonds and everything they're paying out, what money's coming in, it's dwindling down. But again, a commission member or a member of a board can make a motion to approve,
Correct.
pending the ability to spend it and pending the review of the expenses. And so they don't have to come back to the board. But it seems like most boards, and I'd say 90% of the boards I ever seen or been on, people, they get worried that they're going to make the wrong motion or something, and they have the attorney there or the accountant there, and they don't know the answer just yet. They don't know the answers right there in the meeting. But as a member, you could still make a motion to approve it pending their professional opinion. And you don't have to wait for them to give it to you in the meeting. They can do that on their own time, and it'll take them some time. But that gives people like the Michigan City School District the opportunity to move forward. And now they're just waiting because they're doing a report, right? And they could ask for a report. They could say pending the report from this. You came back at the next meeting and they said they're doing a review of the expenses per the new law. They could say pending that review, and that's fine. And if the staff and the attorney and the accountant think, hey, we have the 3.5 million to give the school district, boom, it's done. The check's written. They're ready to go. There's no waiting for another decision. And I guess you're looking at something that we're discussing as redevelopment that kind of doesn't put them in the best light, because it looks like they don't want to support the education. I'm sure they do. They're just stuck that they don't think they can do this pending their review.
Well, I would add to that, they should be getting a report every month
Yes.
on where they stand economically. In other words, how much of this is contractually required?
You're opening up the barn door here.
Well,
What the
There-
liabilities
there-
and expenses are.
And if somebody would take the time to read chapter 36 from cover to cover, they would find that state law mandates a yearly report, an annual report, a monthly report, a budget. It is spelled out in chapter 36 what the redevelopment commission is supposed to do.
But they should be getting that report.
There have
Now,
been,
the next
I
question
spoke
is-
up, but excuse me, I spoke up in 2022 pertaining to the report that was supposed to be filed on a yearly basis with Gateway from 2014 to 2022, and 0 reports were filed. 0. Since 2022,
Mayor Sheila asked for.
and the reports mysteriously have come to light since 2022. Baker and Tilly now makes I believe, a monthly report. He makes a report
that
to
would
the
be a
city
place to
council.
get it from.
Right,
Baker Tilly.
Right, Baker and Tilly. Why am I to determine from 2014 to 2022 when nothing was done? Basically, it's a slush fund for the Michigan City Redevelopment Commission to do with what they want to do with. They have obligation to the state of Indiana according to chapter 36, and they're not doing it. And yet I have been talking about this since 22, since law was changed in 2018. I've been talking about it, and no one seems to care, no one seems to catch wind. They continue to perpetuate the program that has been carried on since 2014.
But this is not just a
now,
local
if I could-
level, because the state had the same problem and they had to do a forensic review.
Could I just throw this out there? Someplace in that list of officers, there should be a treasurer. Is there a treasurer for the,
No, I think they're
No,
using
it's
the
a-
controller of the
okay,
city
so it
controller.
is the controller. Then the city controller should be making that report every month if she is acting as the treasurer.
Yeah.
That's up to the
Again,
city controller
yeah.
at that point.
Their money comes in twice a year. They get a spring draw and a fall draw. And over the last 3 years, they got in over $30 million. And yet, when you go to find out where that money went, and you read the minutes are very vague as to where that money is going. It talks about so many engineers and so many different entities that the redevelopment pays for this and pays for that and pays for this building and pays for that building, but it doesn't itemize those expenditures.
There is a management report, just like there are financial statements. It's called a budgetary report. It should go line by line down the numbers on the state, on the chart of accounts as to where they are in the positive, where they are in the negative, and then the board should be asking questions as to why. But you want a budgetary report or a
Correct.
budgetary analysis month by month.
And if you read the minutes, which I have tried to go back from 2014 forward, when you read the minutes, it only mentions names of who the expenditures went to. And it doesn't mention specific amounts.
There should be a motion to approve bills each month in the amounts to the people.
Well, there is a motion made, but it doesn't have any dollar value to them, except the reading of the minutes. There is no. It doesn't. If you watch the redevelopment commission meeting, they approve they approve the expenditures, and they approve the entities who get the money, but they do not approve. It is not spoken as to how much money each entity gets from the redevelopment commission. It doesn't. The law office of Cernick, it makes, well, we sent a check to Cernick for this particular event that he wrote a letter to, and we sent a check to this engineering firm, you know, but it doesn't
That should be
specify.
in the chart of accounts, and you go by the chart of account numbers, so you know what it's for. In our chart of accounts, it's gonna spell out every kind of expenditure that you can have.
Well, in a board, a public board or commission, and I see that you watch the water district or sanitary, they spell out who's getting an amount, and there's a motion to approve that amount, and there's a second.
And
then
it
they-
will go
in
into the
minutes.
accounting
And
system.
then it goes into the accounting system.
Based on the analysis that they do of the chart of accounts and where that should be charged.
Because the board has to approve the expenditure.
Right.
There's nobody in the
That's
public
a-
world that can approve
they
it.
don't-
They approve the bottom line.
Well, if they don't have a treasurer and it's the city controller, then the city controller should be every meeting going down that chart
Yes.
of accounts line by line.
XYZ widget company gets
Yes.
paid $53.
Yeah.
And that's should be the motion and the minutes.
$200,000.
Yeah, whatever the number is, that should be in the motion,
And it goes
in the
into that
minutes.
Here's the
particular
minutes,
account.
show me where those figures are located in the minutes. Show me.
The minutes from what?
This is the minute from the last redevelopment commission meeting,
I
I
didn't
believe.
say they were doing it right, I'm just telling you what ought to happen.
Well, show me where those expenditures are listed.
Here's their financial report, cash balances, operating, Southside TIF debt reserve, North End TIF, loans receivable. Motions were made, seconded to approve the report, and then public comments, redevelopment commission, request for funding for the Michigan City area schools. Oh, there it is. Mr. York read the claims listed for the record, August 18th, revised payroll, claims totaling, operating north, south, northeast TIF, and that was it. There's the general, an amount of claims and payroll.
But they just totaled it. But
They just totaled it.
They
In
just,
the
it is
meeting, they should have gone down by
it is
line
not
by line.
itemized.
in the meeting, they should have gone
You would
down.
hope in the meeting they would have given them an itemized report
Yes.
for them on all
Yeah.
these claims.
Skylar York only speaks on where a dollar amount goes to.
Well, he has claims coming from these districts. He does not detail it. They're just payroll, July claims, operating, North TIF, South TIF, Northeast, and these are not small claims. I mean, North TIF claim, $163,000. South TIF, $7,896. Northeast TIF,
Those are
two
expenditures.
expenditures.
You're right.
East TIF, $2,000. July claims total. He's just giving them the
Yeah.
total. And I didn't watch the meeting. Did they give you detail, or just said the total?
No
They
detail.
should have
There's
given
been,
you the
I've been
details.
watching it again since
They should give you
2018,
the details.
and I have not seen a specific
Now, the
itemized.
county commissioners don't give you details either. The county commissioners give you a total of claims and payroll, and they approve that every twice a month. So I guess they do that too, that they just give you the total, and you could go to the county commissioners
Whoa,
and ask
whoa,
them.
whoa, whoa, but I think then also it goes to the county council. The county
No.
council has the say.
No, the commissioners budget the money, and the council, and the commissioners pay it
Then they should.
every
be show-
twice a month.
Then they should be showing the,
Now, I think you could go ask them for, I know they get a list of claims before the meeting, they have to review each and every one of them, but the motion is for the total, not for.
okay.
Okay,
But when it goes to the chart of accounts.
So you could
it's
do
going
that.
in there by that line item.
I made a request, and
Now, you
I
could
was told, I was handed a piece of paper, Freedom of Information Act, and I could then fill out this Freedom of Information Act and give it to the
Controller?
the controller. That's how I wasn't able to get into the door of the controller's office until I filled out this Freedom of Information
She's
Act.
probably right. She probably, or she probably knew that she would CYA cover butt with the Freedom of Information Act, and then she could go ahead and give it to you.
And let me just say this again, from 2014 to 2022, 0 reports were made to Gateway. So more than likely, there has been basically no accounting of this over this considerable
Well, I'm
amount of.
sure, I would hope they give something to Indiana State
Well,
Board of
I-
Accounts.
Yeah, they better.
I guarantee there's
Those
something.
board members better be doing something.
Well, you pulled up on your iPhone,
Nothing on Gateway.
nothing on Gateway.
But I
Where
would
does
hope
this-
the
where do-
board of, the State Board of Accounts gets something. They might not post it on Gateway, but that might be different. But here, so another thing is, here's this report from the IEDC. about donors. And you can see, and I really don't like this, but donor name not releasable for IC code 23-17-32-7A. Really? So a donor could give money and they're not going to tell you, they're not going to tell the public who it is? I don't like that one. Why? Why is a donor being hidden? Per IC code. I mean, they have an IC code.
Well, some donors just go anonymously because they don't want other people picking on them for money.
Well, I could see anonymous just put in here anonymous donor.
There was
But
something.
not releasable
Yeah,
is a different word.
yeah.
Donations less than $25,000 weren't even included. There was something in there. I read.
Yeah, less than 25,000.
Less than 20. It wasn't even included.
I want to give, so I'm going to change gears. I want to give the audience a code word that you will find in nearly every government entity in all of America. And when you hear this code word, if you're doing work in the municipality or the government entity, you should be very concerned. And the code word is a phrase called change of use. Many municipalities and governments start bringing out, and it's a legitimate use. If you want to do something to your property, they say, oh, change of use. You have to go get a whole permit, you do everything, change of use. And that really means they're throwing the book at you. Change of use means, if say you want to paint your house, oh, that's change of use, different paint. I don't know. They could use it. It encompasses everything. So when you hear a government entity say change of use, be very wary that you just ran up against almost a brick wall, because they could cover anything with that term. And I'm not talking Michigan City. I'm talking every government entity. When you go to a government entity and they help you out and they get you a permit for whatever you're doing, state driveway, IDEM permit, commercial, Indiana Department of Transport, whoever. As soon as they email you back with or tell you it's a change of use, get ready, because you have run into something you have no idea. It's going to take you forever, because they can just go on and on and on. And this I wasn't on this program we started, but this really started when Michigan City adopted the International Code. Mm-hmm. And if you look at the International Code, building code rules, you really go read it. It's just thick. One of those is, you realize one of the things in that code is you have to clean your garbage can. If your garbage can isn't cleaned out and it smells, they give you a code violation. So get ready. When Michigan City adopted, Michigan City and other municipalities adopt these codes and enforcement manuals without even looking in to see what's in them, and then you bring up and they invoke the change of use term, they'll go through that and they could it's not fun. Now, the other thing I really want to go, I guess we'll see how much time we would, because we talked about this a few shows. Mount Baldy. Mount Baldy had an article in Northwest Indiana Times.
Yeah, okay. Mount Baldy is moving across the highway. Go ahead.
Mount Baldy moving across the highway. And we talked about this. And now the Army Corps is getting involved. And you brought it up, right? And they're going to move the sand from the back end to the front end or somewhere else. Good luck. But they have some neat numbers. So I like math and do math pretty quickly all day. Mount Baldy, this article, Northwest Indiana Times, Mount Baldy is a towering 4,500-year-old sand dunes that's consumed a picnic area more than a third of the parking lot to Mount Baldy, and trees have rotted and formed sinkholes like the one that swallowed the unsuspecting 6-year-old Illinois boy in 2013. Okay, remember that one, 4,500-year-old sand dune. The dune has moved a quarter mile inland over the past century, so a quarter mile,
Right.
100 years. That is 13.2 feet a year. There's my math, 100 years, quarter mile. If it's been in place for 4,500 years, it should have moved 11.25 miles. It didn't move 11.25 miles.
It got higher.
It got higher because the sand came to the front of the dune and keep building the dune up.
Yeah.
But since we put the lighthouse, and I love the lighthouse and I love the walkway, but when did the lighthouse come into place? 100 years ago. Mm-hmm. So since 100 years ago, it has started moving. They say 5 to 7 to 10, looks like 13 feet a year, basic math. And it's not going to stop moving. Well, let's go down to the Army Corps.
Well, one little break. Actually, it's about 150 years because they had like 3 different walkways, that type of thing.
Yes, yes.
So yeah, they.
But the concrete-
well, yeah, but they kept getting bigger was the
Big.
problem. So as a result of that, when the more they put it out into the lake, the more problem they created.
At Mount Baldy.
Yes.
So let's go into some more math, and I'm sure the home viewers really like math, but the Army Corps says they're going to move 40,000 yards. In my world, if you're just going to move your dirt or sand per yard in a vehicle off-road, not driving down the road, is about $5 per yard. Now you start moving it on the road and putting the truck and taking it back out, $10, $15 a yard. But at $5 a yard, they're going to spend $200,000 to move the sand that's going to come right back. And in the article, they say they're going to keep moving sand after they move 40,000 yards. And the last thing I want to bring up is they're going to stabilize the dune by planting more natural vegetation. But the National Park Service previously tried to plant marram grass to stabilize the dune, but it didn't hold. The new strategy, what's the definition of trying something over and over again that doesn't work? The new strategy will take time to work. This is the article about Mount Baldy, and I want to say that I think they are not, they're treating the cause, the symptoms, not taking care of the cause.
Tony, there is a strategy that will work, and it goes like this. You just let the sand on the east side of the pier accumulate. Now,
Or take the 40,000 yards, put it on the east side of the pier so it rolls around the government
yes, and that
pier.
will then cause the water to come around and build up the West Beach again.
That will work. I believe. And I believe if you go online, and Dave does as well, I'm proud of him. You go online and you research this. If you type in Mount Baldy and Indiana University, you will find their report about everything about Mount Baldy, and I think they were spot on. Now, why we now have this new thing with the Army Corps, that they're going to move sand 40,000 yards, and then they're going to relocate a small amount of sand each year, representing the dude's movement from the last year. And the second part of the strategy is to aid nature's revegetation of the dune by planting marram grass and promoting the revegetation of the dune, which will slow down the dune. And I just read you what the National Park Service previously tried to plant marram grass, but it did not hold. Kudos to Northwest Indiana Times. This is a great little article. I forgot who the name of the guy was, the author, but he had to be laughing when he wrote this article, because in the same article, they say they're going to do something, and then he says they tried it and it didn't work. and the definition of that is, I don't know. But the last thing I want to, and hope we have time, is I thought about, we're having this discussion about the gas tax and paving miles and lane miles, and the state's bill #1, which told us we had to have a wheel tax and income tax, and we had to spend our own money, or we're not going to get money. There was an article out that they are going to give people on the continuing money to pave roads, CCMG, Community Crossings Management Grant money, I believe, 50-50 match, up to $1 million. It's not $1.5 million anymore, up to $100 million. And it really, I don't know why in the history of the United States of America, we have come to the point where we give money to Indianapolis and then we have to ask Indianapolis for the money back. Graciously, could you give us some of our money back? I didn't know where we went off the rails on that. But here's my solution. The accountant will love this one. Each time we fill up our gas, we pay a gas tax. And the gas station takes that money, gives it to the state. I don't know when. Every month, every quarter, they write a check and make sure they pay the state the money they've collected from us and our gas tax when we fill our vehicle.
It's probably quarterly.
Probably quarterly.
Yeah, for the small businesses.
So and technology is wonderful. So how about we get the state representatives and state legislators and the governor to say enough. We're not going to collect your gas tax, and then you fill out some paperwork, probably a lot bigger than this, and tell us where you're going to pay the streets, and we'll give you 50% match. I say, we have technology. AI is coming on strong. We take the money at the gas station where we pay it, and the state knows where it's coming from. So if you're in Michigan City, and all the gas stations in Michigan City collect this tax, they take the money that they would send to the state and they earmark it. So of that money in Michigan City for the gas tax for the quarter, 50% goes to Michigan City, 25% goes to the county, and 25% goes to the state for the state highways and federal money. If you're in the county, 75% of that gas tax, of the gas in the gas stations in the county, stays in the county, 25% goes back to the state. So there's not this, we got your money, but you fill out this paperwork and tell us what you're going to do and go through the administration, and then we'll think about giving you a 50% match. That keeps the money locally. I always believe in the best politics is the local politics. And that keeps it, I think, the fairest.
Yeah.
So if Indianapolis has a lot of gas stations, they get a lot of money. If Gary and Lake County, they get some money. Michigan City, I think, we'd have to see what those numbers, at a minimum, I think the legislature could hire Purdue to do an analysis, and they would take the administration out of the money that they're giving back to us either through MVH, Motor Vehicle Highway, or CCMG money for paving our streets. But I want to qualify it. If they do this, they should say 85% of this money that you're keeping in your locality has to go to the roads. Can't go for administration, can't work in consulting, can't go for, it has to go to the roads.
Back about 40 years ago, Long in the Tooth, Dave brought a similar concept to the, I took it to Anita Bowser, and it pertained to money derived from the MVH fund from local gas purchases. And I suggested at the time, we've got 94 counties, and in those counties there are so many registered vehicles. These vehicles are
92.
92 counties.
okay. 92.
But you got 94 plates.
The registered vehicles within the county would be a determining factor how to dispense this money. Basically, I'm saying is,
And you were ahead because that would have been hard to administrate. But with technology we have,
right, and that was 40 years ago. I was talking about it when I was on the council.
this is a program that can be set up with all the technology we have very simply. These databases are already live.
Right.
This money is already being, I bet you 99% of this money is already being sent digitally to the state. They're not coming to pick up
electronic
checks.
transfer all over the place.
This is all transferred. It's an easy database. And even if we use the ability for the capitalist market we live in to say, okay, if I'll put out a request for a proposal or a request for qualifications, an RFQ. If you're a company would like to set this up, we will pay you 0.1% of all revenue to keep this system running. You know how much money that would probably save the state of Indiana in administrative costs alone? When you do these CCMG projects, community crossings management money, the paperwork, I would venture to say each community is probably spending between $20,000 and $50,000 or $75,000 a year just to inventory their pavement. Money's not going to any pavement. And then they have to pay consultants to put the project together to see how much pavement you're going to need, how wide, how long, and then you have to give that to NDOT. Well, first you have to give that to CCMG to approve the money. Then you have to give that to NDOT for them to approve you spending the money and hiring somebody. Then you have to bid it out, and then you might actually get some payment put down.
The other problem with that is on the collection side. Because right now, it all goes into the state, and the state knows basically how many gallons of gasoline were sold in every county. Now, as a
There's
result
how many
of that,
vehicles we got registered.
as a result of that, they know how much money they should be receiving. If you do away with sending that into the state really doesn't have a way to check each small gas station.
Oh no, the state will have access to the database.
Well, but putting people on it. Now, when AI comes in.
I'm sure they already have a database.
I'm sure they do too. But when AI comes in, the ability to use that will be significantly enhanced. Right now, you got people trying to do that. And it just makes it much easier when it goes to a central location and it's dispersed.
It's already a central location. It's just a matter of dispersing it to the people, like they said, who are bringing the money in and need the money. Now, right now, the system is set up that we disperse it to people. First, we say, okay, it's only $100 million per year, and if you file an application, we'll match you 50-50. No, just disperse us the money.
Well,
Don't hold our money and say, I'll give you 50% on the dollar. The
there is-
database is there.
there is another calculation in there, which is miles of roadway that.
And we have that.
Yes.
And now they're going, and in 2 years, they're going to go to not just miles of road, they're going to go to lane miles. And I talked about this before. That means like Lake County, Indianapolis, Marion County,
Okay.
and counties with lots of lane miles, a lot more than us, are going to get a lot more money. And I don't think anyone realizes, I bet very few people even know that's in there. One of the things I read in the bill was the speed limit on all urban roads are 30 miles an hour. Does anyone know that? We got lots of roads that are more than 30 mile an hour in Michigan City. Did the state tell us that they have to change them all to 30 mile an hour? There's lots in this bill that are good but need to be flushed out and figure out how we're going to do with them, because there are a better way, right? There's a better mousetrap. There's always a better mousetrap.
And I'm just saying the statistics are there based on the research that I've given. Like here in the state of Indiana, we have over 6 million vehicles.
And you know where each vehicle is
know
registered
through the
street and city.
That is correct.
And location.
It's there. The information is already there compiled.
The question is the miles traveled with those vehicles, because that's where you get it based on the amount that
You're going to
they're paying
have
for
to.
the
You're
gas
going to have to
tax.
know that the amount of tax you pay in a gallon per gas at the gas station is the only thing. Miles for that vehicle is going to be way too. That's AI.
That's AI,
5, 10
I
years
agree.
from now.
Based on this report of the 6,241,291 vehicles, the average vehicle travels 12,600 miles a year. I mean,
But we're basing everything off the tax on a gallon of gas.
but I'm just saying, with all of the figures that are there, somebody could compile some formula to compile all of these.
Oh yeah.
It can be done.
There's Excel, or there's DBase, or there's
Sure.
C++, and these programs, and AI is helping us do a lot. Where this came from is that I, as a surveyor, if I'm doing something on a right-of-way, and in Indiana Department of Transportation has a portal, if you want, you can use it. Public's open to the public. You say who you are, what you want, check into the right-of-way or the deed grants, or what right-of-way is in Indiana Department of Transportation. They got fantastic people downstate. They get back with you in like 24 hours. They'll give you the oldest records from 1905 to 2022. They'll give you brand new records, right-of-way grants, deeds, everything about the right-of-way they know. Now, what came to me is, I like the people down in Indianapolis who do this for us, but why do that? Just put it on an interface. I just click my address, and I'll see everything I need to know about that NDOT right-of-way. Where's the grant? How wide's the right-of-way? Where's the documentation? It's already digital, and they've spent 20 years digitizing this stuff. And in our world, in the GIS world, we call that geo-rectifying. So we take documents and we geo-rectify. So if I click on something like Beacon, the document comes up that's geo-rectified to my location. And that helps people be more productive. You got 5 minutes, so you got
Vehicle data are from the Bureau of Transportation Statistics, population data that are from the U.S. Census.
But it's from us. It's from Indiana to the feds.
Yeah. So it's created.
It's already here.
It's already here. It's already here.
And so that was my rant, that why are we asking Indianapolis to give us some of the money back to pave our streets, and they'll only give us 50%. Just give us the money that we collect at our gas stations to ourselves, without going down the state and spending hundreds of thousands of dollars on consultants to ask for half of our money back.
Because they think that we're a bunch of farmers and
because they don't
pumpkin
trust
growers.
us.
Right,
They don't
pumpkin
trust
growers.
us.
Whoa, when you say that, we got farmers out there that are running around with $120,000 tractors and 3 computers sitting up
Well,
there
the
while they
farmers are
go
pretty
down.
wily. They're pretty good, well off, and they don't act like it. They're pretty good stewards of their money, let me tell you. They know every dollar and every penny, and they don't want you to know.
I mean, there is a formidable mindset up here that needs to be accepted by the state of Indiana, and it's not.
And I will ask my friends, hopefully next time in session, they'll at least study this. let's cut some, I would think the Republican administration would love to cut administration.
You're going to create, until you've got AI in there solidly, some real auditing problems to make sure that we're not skimming off the top. And that's pretty easy.
We already have those problems. Anyways, we only have,
They'll never find it.
well,
That's one solution, Tony. They'll never find it.
they did a forensic review and they found it. I wonder what that cost. My first question was, how much did that forensic review cost?
The governor paid for it, so.
Oh, we paid. When you go to the store and you buy something, you got to pay the governor, what, 7%?
I think it's 7%. Unless it's prescription drugs.
And people laugh when I go somewhere and I have to pay, like, well, how much does the governor cost me on this one? That's 7%. So those are my rants, that the systems are in place, and I hope the younger generation is going to be the recipient of this, that we don't do this crazy administration filing paperwork. We have the technology. We just have to make the leap, and maybe we get some better use of our money. Maybe we keep our, I always think, the more local government, the more honest government you're going to get. So the more local funding, the more honest funding you're going to get.
Now, if you'll exclude Lake County from that, I'd probably go along.
Well, they control their own destiny. If they want to do things their way, then good luck. And I say the same thing in Illinois. If that's who they want to vote for, it's America. I wish you luck.
I'm just saying, I've been saying for a long time, vote the old goats out. Look at the problems that are existing in Washington. The government is shut down because half of the old goats don't want to... Huh?
Is the government shutdown bad?
It just closed. Half of the old goats that are millionaires and billionaires that have sat in their office for the last 30 years, they don't want to take a new attitude. I've been saying that for a long time.
Muscle memory is hard to change.
Yeah, and they want to continue to perpetuate how things have been living off the trough for these 40 years. Now it's come to the point of $37 trillion in debt. Somebody has to take a new attitude, and these expenditures for various things have to be looked at and maybe reconsidered for some of these, taking back some of these payments that are being made to individuals who came into this country. We used to call individuals that swam across the Rio Grande, wetback individuals.
That was the slang term.
That was a slang term.
Technology is the only way out of this one. Well, here we go.
And taking a new attitude not only applies to Michigan City, in my mind, it applies to the United States of America. And I've been on record saying that for how many years? I want to thank everybody for watching. Your input as to improvements or criticism of this program is greatly appreciated. Please contact show's co-producers Bob Pollock, Dave Bila, or Tony Hendricks with your comments. You can email Bob at skrpollock@gmail.com, Dave at djbila1@hotmail.com, or Tony at emailhem@yahoo.com. Or you may direct your ideas for any future shows to our one and only staff writer, Sarah Bellum. Showing of our program will be Saturday morning at 10 a.m., also Monday and Thursday evening at 7 p.m. on Channel 99. You may also enjoy watching our show on Navigate, on 99, Navigate News and Views. Oh, by the way, Michigan City High School's homecoming tonight. And one of the candidates for homecoming has to have a last name of Bila. You look for him, he's in a real shiny red Corvette leading the parade. Now, I don't know how far that's going to get him, but it's a brand new shiny red, well, early 20s shiny Corvette.
You can see society moving up because this kid is in a red Corvette. His grandfather is driving around in about a 1936 Stutz that's totally falling apart.
Hey, and it's held together. It's held together with my gas tank is held together with a
Oh yeah,
paper
we
clip.
put a little W4 on it, and then we put electrical tape on it.
Hey, at least it's paid for. I want to thank everybody for watching, and make it a good day.